Welcome to my space. Let's take 3 deep breaths together. Draw your energy back on the in breath from everyone and everything that you've done today. On the exhale, see if you can bring your awareness down with your exhale into a lower, safer, slower space inside your body. Maybe heart center, but if you can access it, the low belly or the womb space, the pelvic bowl. I also recommend sometimes if it's hard to drop down and get into that deeper space in the body, you could breathe up into that space through your roots. So that's another way to play with landing in a safer, slower space in your body. So here we go. Go either direction. You can spiral down on the exhale, or you can breathe up in to that cauldron space or that pelvic bowl space. So here we go. Take a deep breath in, gathering your energy back from your day and the people and your tasks. On the exhale, bring your awareness into that low belly, pelvic bowl, cauldron, womb space. Deep breath in, gathering your energy back. And on the exhale, maybe wiggle. Sigh out loud if that feels good. Dropping into the body. Deep breath in. Oh, I am here. Mm. Welcome. I would like to follow up a little bit on what it's been like for me after my intense experience last week or the week before with a violating experience in my house that I handled really well. And it was a new template. And I feel like it was proof of all the work that I've been doing over the last decade to change a story in real time. Um, But there have been a few things on the tail end of that. One I addressed in the last video that I made about it, and that's taking care of my nervous system after the violating experience. So, yay that I was able to feel my empowered yes, my fuck no, get out of my space energy. Um, I Another thing that happened really amazingly is that my kids reflected that I got super big in my body language, and I did not perceive the man as being that much bigger than me, but the kids were like, "Oh my God, Emmy, mom," they called me mom. "Oh my God, mom, he was like at least a foot taller than you and much bigger and towering over you, and you just got super big, and sometimes you were on your tiptoes and you were like, this is my space. No." And so that also is really beautiful because that's evidence of the work that I've been doing to be embodied and to use my body rather to then one of my biggest MOs is to just like shrink and hide. But in this moment, all the embodiment practices that I've been doing, letting myself take up space and be in my body in a very real, palpable way, gave me the access to body movements that made me feel bigger in the face of this person who was much bigger than me that I didn't even perceive, which was amazing. So that's awesome. And then I mentioned in the last video that there have been, you know, nervous system regulation that's had to happen. And I did end up having a conversation with my actual landlord that helped my body actually finally calm down and feel safe. And that was about a week after the incident. So it took me a week of like really working through nervous system responses of feeling unsafe in my space, really having to regulate my breathing, having to put a lot of attention in, dropping down in, checking the space to make sure, hey, body, look, nobody's here. The doors are locked. We're safe. So I just want to give that information, and I know I gave it in the last one too. But once a violating experience happens, it will trigger not only your nervous system for that moment, but I have lots of violating experiences from my past that I I have worked in body work or in lots of different ways. But when a real violating experience comes back to the forefront, this gave me the opportunity to hold lots of different awareness around, yeah, body, you've been in this situation more times than you would like. And here, let's just hold it. I did a lot of rocking. I have a vibration plate that I stand on or sit on that just shakes my body for me. I did lots of walks. I spent time with people were regulated so that I could feel in-person regulation. I had therapy sessions. Um, so I did all the work on this side of it. And it was the conversation where my landlord, my actual landlord, did hear me, and I felt respected and I felt heard and I felt the closure on the event. And immediately my stomach started resting and I started sleeping better, and I'm back to being way more regulated. Now, here I am a few days after that scenario with my actual landlord, and I feel a new fire to tell my real stories. Um, I'm going to do that in my Cauldron and the Feast space, the private online women's space, because it needs to be protected. I have a lot of stories that I'm not ready to tell the public, and maybe I will at some point. I'm not ready yet. And I am ready to begin to use my story as inspiration. And I want to touch this a little bit because for a long time I didn't want to do that, because the work that I do in balanced living and in the womb wisdom initiation and in the wild women's circle is a much broader range than just the issues that I've worked out in my personal life. And I was afraid that if I tell my personal story, that I will only draw the kinds of trauma, people from the kinds of trauma that say, "Oh, I had that experience, and so I want to work with you," and "Oh, I had that experience." And it's been true that because I haven't told my story as inspiration or as a marketing tool, I have this gorgeous, broad range of people that I work with. The traumas range across the board in my balanced living, trauma informed body, mind, spirit sessions. And the wild women circles, everybody's story is dramatically different. And this is actually what I love. I love the universal truths that I teach, drawing in such a wide variety of stories and people from different backgrounds and different religious contexts and different upbringings and different types of trauma experiences and different stories, different ways of living. I have people in my sessions and in my circles anywhere from like 20 to we had somebody who was 75, and in my initiations I have people from 30 to again 75, and in my balanced living sessions, my body mind spirit sessions, I have people from I work with people from the ages of like 15 all the way to I think 91 is my oldest client. So what I've been worried about is narrowing the types of people that are drawn to me by telling my very specific story with a very specific flavor. Because my work, the work that I actually do with people, is truly based on universal principles where I can hold safe enough space for people to learn to know themselves, know thyself, and take that inner journey, or to meet their pain or their diseases or their traumas, no matter what they are, with these universal truths and these universal practices that I coach and teach. So I am taking a risk because now I feel life actually calling me to speak my story. And um, I have some fear on this. I have a lot of fear on this. I'm afraid. And right now I'm telling you the story of how vulnerable it feels to begin this season of opening what I've always known I would do, is tell my stories. So this threshold that I'm on, this place that I'm going in the Cauldron and the Feast, creating this space for personal myth to unfold for me, but then for other people as medicine for the community, is a challenge, and I'm meeting fears. And I think the reason I wanted to talk about that is so that I know that a lot of us, entrepreneurs, artists, women in business, um, the LGBTQ plus community, people who are trying to create new things out of a broken system, or while the system is breaking, create a new reality that feels loving and inclusive and um, bold. I know I'm not the only one. And I think that the place the world is heading feels to me like it's less about me telling you how to do that, how to be embodied, empowered, and express your truth, and to surrender to life and to co-create with life. I can tell you the principles of that, but that's truths that you could Google. How do I be empowered? How do I be embodied? How do I be expressing myself truthfully? How do I surrender to life force in the present moment? How do I co-create with life force moving through me more authentically? Google it. There's 1,000 people who will teach you that. And I will teach that, but I want to show you what that looks like. From I'm almost 50, I've raised 4 kids, I've been married 18 years, I was in Christian ministry for probably 15 of those. No, I was in Christian ministry much longer than that because I was in ministry before I met my ex-husband. Um, I've been in Christian ministry in leadership since I was 16. I have led women's circles. I've led high school students. I've led mixed groups. I've led worship. I've led therapy meetings. I've led coaching. I've got history. I've got training. I've created beautiful dynamic with the consensus of my kiddos who still live with me. We've had people live with us for seasons because it's a safe haven. Um, I've created the Wild Women's Circle with my best friend, Erin Lindsay. This is our 3rd full year of that. We're just finishing up our 3rd cycle, our 5th circle. Um, I birthed Balanced Living almost 10 years ago, and it's been successful and beautiful expression of my work in the world and the way that I hold people in safety and bodies and spiritual growth and development. So, and I've just been on my own personal journey for over uh, 3 decades. I started going to therapy when I was 19, the minute I left home, and have been doing some form of knowing thyself and learning how to walk more authentically me in the world my whole journey since age 19. I've got history, I've got embodied knowing, I have ways of holding space for you. But what I know life is calling me to is to tell story that has transmission of truth. And this is a threshold for me. It feels, um, yeah, just breathe with me for a second. Think about things that you feel life is asking you to do that feel scary. Do you know you're supposed to create something that feels scary to create, or start something that you know is gonna push your edges? What is it that life is trying to move you in? It's not easy. And even though I've birthed 4 kids. I've birthed a business. I left a marriage of 18 years. I started over with literally no money. Um, and I created something very beautiful. Life created it with me. I created it with life, however you want to say that. Um, Even though I've done it, every single upgrade in, okay, life wants me to do this now is a threshold of like, oh God, can I really do that? So I want to tell those stories and I want to be real. And I'm sick of hiding, but also I'm scared of showing up really boldly. And I was processing this with a specific group of women that I reach out to every time I'm like in the dregs of like, okay, I gotta do this. I know I'm doing this. I know I'm called to this, and I'm meeting the fear and I'm feeling it and I'm locating it in my body and I'm breathing with it and I'm sounding, I'm like moving. Sometimes I'm dancing, sometimes I'm crying, sometimes I'm rocking, sometimes I'm like, I feel the fear. I'm moving with the fear. Ooh, drop into that safer, slower space. I am here. And I can feel the flicker of life saying, okay, create, let's be. So that's a little bit of how it feels for me right now in this moment. I love that I've been sharing that I felt led to share that I was in the void a few weeks ago, literally sitting in the dark, being like, I don't have motivation to do anything, as I was remembering what it was like at my car accident 10 years ago. And now I'm that violating experience was like, oh, I am ready to speak my truth. I am ready to tell my stories. So I'm grateful for that experience that kicked me out of the void. And now here I am shaking a little bit as I bring this new piece forward. So thank you for being with me. Thank you for yeah, I don't have a huge following right now and I'm okay with that, but if you're here listening on a pretty consistent basis, I value you. I've always been very conscious that I wanted to build things that I could hold and steward well as I was building it. I watched so many people in my life have giant visions and then go full force and either quit right before they got to the gold, or they had an explosion and then they couldn't hold it. And I knew inside of me I was taking lessons from that, and I really have expanded at rates where I feel like I've been able to hold the expansion and then grow a little bit more and hold that growth and then grow a little bit more and hold that growth. So this is another grow a little bit more and hold the growth. So the community that is listening to me, the people that are following me right now, thank you. I feel like I've been able to hold this space with you and honor it well. And if it grows, great. If it doesn't grow, I'm okay with that. If you are still getting something out of this, um, thank you. And I'm glad you are. Um, okay, I will, another vulnerable moment. If you decide you feel like you need to drop off because of more of the story that's coming forward and you find out more about who I am and I'm not who you thought I was, or you had a story about me that isn't aligned with actually who I am and you need to leave, go for it. Please go for it. I want you to find your aligned spaces. And if I'm not in magnetic resonance for you, then I really bless you in finding your people. But it's part of what I was processing with my group of women this morning is this threshold of being more open and being more honest and saying more of my story really will allow some of you to decide if I'm a resonance or you need to leave, or and hopefully will draw in more people who are magnetized to my true stories. So thank you for being here. Truly, thank you for being here. I value you. I value your story. I value the time that I have been able to hold space for you. If you're a body, mind, spirit client of mine, I will continue to hold space in the way that I have always held space for you. It might feel different for you knowing more about who I am. And I guess that's part of what I'm afraid of is that um, sometimes knowing your body worker or your therapist, like more of their personal life is harder to be in your own story with them. So I get that. I really do. And if you're somebody who needs a little more anonymity from a therapist or a body worker or coach, then I bless you to go find those people. There are so many of them out there who have that boundary and it's in place and it's in place for a good reason. And if you need that safety, then please find them. And if you need a recommendation, I know people who are holding that boundary really, really well and really beautifully. It's just that life is asking me to be more. Um, I think what life is asking me is to steward a community of wild women, a larger community. And in doing that, I know that I'm called to tell more personal story as a way to transmit universal truth through my story. And a lot of that is deep and dark and looks yucky because I tell it from both the very human parts of me and from the divine essence, holding and knowing. So thank you. Thanks for listening to all of this. Thanks for being here. I bless you if you choose to find your more resonant people. And I welcome you if you're a new person who's been magnetized here. Um, Thank you. Thanks for coming in. Leave when you get enough and be blessed. Truly find your spaces, find your people, find your inspiration in order for you to find and bring more of yourself into the world because I do believe that the world needs your authentic expression, your authentic creations, your bold statements of your essence in the world. So much so that I'm also in the process of bringing more of me into the world in the same way. So if you're on that journey and I can support you in that, reach out. I love coaching. I love holding you in bodywork sessions. I love holding you in ecosomatics practices. I love holding you in wild women circles. I love holding you in womb wisdom initiations. So, and those spaces are all about you. In the Cauldron and the Feast, you will have the opportunity to get to know me at a different level. Um, but there will also be many opportunities to get to know my team. Currently, I have 5 people as guides in that space. It will expand over time, and there will be lots of wild women holding different energies and frequencies within the space. So it won't be just my flavor, but I am the one who's birthed it. So it is my vision. And yeah, this keeps going. I will end it now. Thank you for being here. I will return, and I hope you will too.